Welcome to Swift Explorer Singapore Lesson 3. There are a total of 7 lessons, followed by a hackathon in the September holidays. We are still pending that. Let's quickly go through some of the usual things that we talk about. As always, I'm not sure if you're first time joining us on Zoom. If it is, fairly standard Zoom rules apply. Please remain muted. If you have questions, you can ask them. You can ask them in the Zoom chat, right? Within the Zoom chat. The point of all this is so that it's not just a floating head talking to you in a corner. It's a floating head that might answer your questions talking to you. Okay, so that's the point of having these live lessons rather than just pure video lessons every week. Okay, please include your school in your Zoom name. Okay, and there's no need to record the session. One of them will be recorded and will be uploaded. Feel free to stay off camera. It's okay, right? I am used to talking to my screen by now. Hello, camera, right? I've been talking to my camera for 2 years. Okay, so that's one. So just a quick recap. What is phase 3? The lesson format. You're going to make a prototype of your app. So we're going to introduce more and more concepts on making a prototype. So last 2 weeks, I would treat them as a bit of a recap. You've been, doing things like stacks and putting stuff together. We are going to start introducing some new things, and I can tell you that things will start heating up. We have a lot more content to send to you over the next few weeks. Okay, so just try and keep up if you can. I know, without a doubt, you will fall behind here and there, but that's okay. All right, try and keep up. Okay, so lesson format, pre-recorded video lesson. I'm hoping this doesn't take more than 30 to 40 minutes of your time every week. Okay, let me know if it does. There's a live online lesson, which is this one, and there'll be a hackathon during September holidays. So the first 2 yellow items, there will be 7 of these, and then this thing will take 3 hours of your time. Hopefully by the end of that, you walk away with, some kind of prototype. And, if you're so inclined after your exams and all that, you can continue working on it. We will keep the Discord alive and before the actual rehearsal and presentation, which is down here in October. Okay, so once again, we're not sure which Apple Store and we're not sure which Apple Store and the exact timings yet. I believe it should be before opening hours of the Apple Store, which is 11 o'clock. So before 11, before 11. Okay, depending on the venue, I'm not sure who can make it there. Like, sometimes you might want your parents to drop to take a look. We'll see. Definitely the group members, definitely your teachers, if they can make it. And beyond that, we're not sure. Depends on venue capacity. Okay, so that's phase 3. Okay, these are the resources. I just want to point them out again. Discord, as always, the announcements, links, and questions are the interesting things to look at. Things like chickens and Rickrolling and counting, feel free to ignore if you want. Okay, don't worry about those. All right. The Notion, I want to take a moment to point out what that is. The Notion is linked to in links. Okay, in the very first link in links. This is what it looks like. It's got a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know if you've noticed. Okay, so technically you could even get by without Discord, as long as you bookmark the Zoom links and remember to join us same time every week. Everything is here. We will update it as the weeks go on. These are all the different units. So 1 unit is 1 week. Okay, so there's unit 1 and unit 1 live, unit 2 live, and we'll try and update all these with the different topics so that later on when you come back, you're like, where is that thing about what multi-line, don't know what? Then you kind of look down and, oh, there it is. It's called multi-line text alignment. Okay, so that's the aim of this thing, to be a one-stop resource for you. It's also got all the links to the videos as well as the submissions padlets. And the submissions padlets are great. I don't know if any of you have checked them out. Beyond submitting your own thing, some of you maybe finish already very early, submit, and then forget about it. Okay. Load it again, see what new stuff has showed up. Okay, there's some pretty good stuff, and I'll try and post some of these to the showcase channel. If you want, you can move your own stuff to the showcase channel. I don't mind. Right? I'm really happy to see people just engage with the class and doing stuff. Okay, so later on, I'll review a couple of these padlets. Okay, so as always, I just want to remind everyone of what's the requirements for this class. Do watch the video class, which means the thing that I'll upload usually by Sunday. Actually, lesson 4 is already uploaded. It's already in the playlist. I just haven't announced it yet. Okay, so you can go and watch that. We'll usually include slides. The slides will have more step-by-step instructions. If you can't stand me after watching my videos for I don't know how many hours, okay, feel free to just use the slides and see what's supposed to do from there. That's okay. All right, so there's work assigned, and you're supposed to submit it to the Padlet. I know not all of you have been submitting to the Padlet. And there are technically like 50 over of you in this class. But if you are able to, right, please go ahead and submit. We do want to see your work, and just a celebration of what everyone has done. Okay, so no judgment, right? I'm always curious to see what interesting things people are doing. And I know more than one of you is regularly trying to rickroll me. So please feel free. I don't mind that. I don't mind that if it means you're going to submit your work. Okay. So when you join the online classes, I will assign some work here as well. Okay, so hopefully that doesn't take you too much time beyond after the end of the class. If you can follow me doing it in class, that's great. But I usually ask you to do something slightly different. Okay, so you can just adjust it a bit, make it your own. Okay. This next part, please make sure someone from your group or your school pretty much attends or submits each week before the September holiday hackathon. We are trying to keep track. Okay, we are trying to keep track. So later on, we will take a quick screenshot. So by the way, anyone who just joined, please remember to let us know your school name as well. Include your school name and your name. We'll take a quick screenshot. And then what we will do is we will actually take this chance to take a look and see, hey, what happened to this school? Did they forget? Right? Is no one joining us? And I know that, during the course of term 3, a lot of you have, WAs or whatever they're called nowadays, common tests and things like that. You're going to get busy. I totally understand. Okay. But do try to let us know that, you're keeping up. If you can't make it for any of the sessions, right? Maybe you can submit your work to the Padlet. Then I can see, hey, actually, these folks are okay, they're keeping up. Okay. I'm not going to keep track of every single group member. I'm just going to check to make sure that at least one person or two, hopefully more than that, right, is keeping up with the class, because we just want your school to be represented. You've been chosen for this. We do want you to be represented in the final showcase. Okay, so the last thing I want to emphasize is down here that the pace of the class is going to pick up very soon. Soon, that's me. The next video is 20 minutes long. I just happen to have that much stuff to do, and I've already recorded the subsequent one. It's also about 20 minutes long. There's just stuff gets a bit more intense, like there's more and more things coming up. Okay, so just try to keep up, right? So in theory, yes, you could wait until term 3 week 10. I know, like, the last day of school is Teachers' Day, and then you have the day off and things like that. Don't leave it until then to try and finish everything. Okay, it's going to be a huge pain to try and keep up with everything at the end of the 7 weeks. Okay, so that's my stuff. Okay, other than that, I think I mentioned this in the videos at this point, right? Instead of submitting giant code blocks, which you saw in the first 2 Padlets, use this website, code.tk.sg, paste your code there, press the save button, copy the link, and paste that. Okay, later I'll demo this if I can. Okay, at this point, any questions? Let me just open up my Zoom. Where's my Zoom window? Oh, there it is. Okay, my Zoom is here. All right, so any questions, please let me know in the chat. Okay, I'll keep an eye on the chat. Jeff Shan is here today as well, so he'll be able to answer your questions in the chat as well. Okay. Okay, thanks everyone for updating your school names and things. Okay. So the recap of what we did this past week was actually something that I think some of you, if you are in your Infocom clubs and you're doing Swift as well, you would have seen something like this. Okay, it's a cookie counter. So essentially, it's a way of adding what we call state variables into your app, so that when you tap on the screen or you do something, you increase this state variable, and this state variable is being shown on the screen. And whenever you increase it, it will update itself automatically. Okay, so that seems fairly intuitive, right? Update it updates itself automatically. This is actually something quite new, right? It's a very modern way of doing things, the way SwiftUI does it. Before that, maybe a few years ago, things were a bit more complex. Every time you update something, you have to tell the screen to update itself as well. Okay, but now it's all quite intuitive. I think I don't need to tell you too much about the other older way of doing things. Just that, this is what we use state variables for. Okay, so I asked you to have some, I give you some challenges as well, right? Things like, maybe you can do some interesting things. Maybe you can have an increase and a decrease and a reset and stuff like that. So I'd love to see what you have. And where that is will be the different Padlets. Okay. The last live lesson, we talked about the tab view for you to make a little story or some narrative or things like that. And let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of these, right? Let's take a look at what everyone has. Okay. So this is the Padlet. Y'all can see my Safari window, right? Did I remember to share it? No, I did not. Okay, hang on. Let me update my screen sharing. Here we go. Okay, that's the Notion. Let me switch over to Safari. Okay, this is the Safari window. Hopefully you can see it, right? Yeah, everyone can see it. Yeah. Please let me know if you cannot. Please yell at me in the chat or something if you cannot see it. Okay. So these are the stories and stuff that that folks have been submitting. Right. I'm not sure what they are. I do see some very nice gradients and things. So I'm glad that you're experimenting with some of the things that you learned in earlier earlier classes. Okay, let's take a look at this one. I'm not sharing sound, so I'm not sure what sort of sound is coming through, but if anyone rickrolls me, I think you are safe. Okay, so let's take a look. This is Kaveri, who I think is here today. All right, so let's take a look. Handbook of lame jokes. All right, so you swipe over here. Right, want to hear a joke about paper? It's terrible. What do you call that? Oh my god, this is too fast. All right, but sure, I will stop to admire these jokes afterward. Okay, so good stuff. Thank you very much. Okay, so it's got a very nice Warner Brothers ish Warner Brothers animation ish background. Okay, this is from Ashley. Let's take a look. Right, this is inspirational quotes about life. All right, so you tap on this. Okay, and then you swipe over and you have some inspirational quotes about life. You can see that over here Ashley is using some of these custom fonts. Okay, and this is all very wholesome. So thank you, good stuff. Appreciate that. Okay, let's take a look at this one from Nicole, who I thought I saw is here today. Right, I saw that name. Okay, so there's some music, but I'm not sure if you can hear it. Okay, so this is also pretty useful. Let me turn down the sound so I can hear myself. Okay, but yeah, I think it's useful for you. It's like a little flashcard thing in a sense. Okay, you can actually design your own flashcards with state variables. You could have things like buttons that show and hide things. You will see something like that. All right, this is actually something new. I can see some bold words over here. Okay, these are probably using Markdown, which hopefully people remember. Okay, and nice use of fonts. Okay, I'm glad you all have made good use of all the different fonts that we've seen. Okay, this one's from Farhan. Right, this is a very disturbing looking image. Sure. Okay, and this is Farhan. Farhan here today. I thought Farhan, you're here today. Right, thought Farhan you were here on Thursday. Sure, no harm. Feel free to join on both. Just be aware that it's the same lesson. Okay, I just slightly different only. Okay, so yeah, this is a way of just telling a story. Okay, perfectly fine. And I see you're using a custom font. This looks like copper plate. Okay, so yeah, those good. So this is a simple way of getting your message across, right? Just telling your story, telling people something. Okay, all right, cool. Let's see if there's anything else I can look at. Here's one from see if there are any from people who are here today. Constance is here, right? Let's open this up. Okay, so this one, is it a story or something? Let's take a look. All right, so okay, all right. So yeah, it looks like a story, right? So it's a way of just getting some narrative across to your users. Okay. All right, and I see there's some use of Markdown and italics and things like that. Okay, so all these are the reason why we're introducing all these things is really for you to be able to use them when you're making your prototype later on. Oh no, what's happened? Right now, read the first word of every page. This is up. This is you. This is give. This is gonna. And that is never. All right. So thank you. All right. I guess I've been rickrolled. Okay. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay. So yeah. Okay. I'm fairly certain this one has an actual Rick Astley soundtrack behind it. Right. But so I refrain from playing that one. I mean, feel free to go ahead and take a look at the rest that I haven't looked at. Let's go back to our slides. Okay. There's also the stuff you submitted for Swim Explorers 3, the counter, the different types of counters. Okay, let's take a look. So over here, once again, let's take a look at the stuff from the people who are here in class. So this is from Nicole, right? Okay. Daily reading tracker. Oh, very nice, right? This is actually quite a useful thing. Okay. The plus and minus. Oh, plus and minus. This might be a bit small. There actually are like SF symbols for plus and minus. So you gotta consider using those. I think they're a bit more proportional or something. Okay, I don't know. Like it's just something slightly different. And I guess this is a very minor quibble, but in left to right languages, we will usually have plus on the right and minus on the left, I guess. Yeah, so that's up to you, right? But this is just a suggestion. I do like it. Okay, so it's even got a little book icon and everything for us. Thank you. Let's see this one over here. Abigail is here today too. I'm just looking over my guest list, right? So this is chickens. Okay, good. Always appreciate more chickens. And there's a reset button. So just now they all had a plus and minus button. This one has a reset button. I hope you all managed to figure out fairly easily, right? What that does. Okay. So this one, this is smiles and frowns. So yeah, I believe a frown should be reducing number of smiles, which is sad. Okay. But yeah, look at the nice colors and the background and the gradient and everything. Good stuff, right? Thank you to Kaveri. All right. Anyone else who's here who I should look at? Let's see. I'm not sure if I missed out anyone. Let's take a look at Farhan's one over here because he's here today actually. Okay, so this one, by the way, yeah, landscape was more Pikachu and less Pikachu. Okay, this one actually has Rick Astley in the background, so thank you, Farhan. But just be glad you can hear it. Okay, lower down your volume. Okay, so yeah, sure. Right, perfectly fine. By the way, yeah, you also do need to think about whether you want to do your thing in landscape or portrait later on, right? Eventually, when you preview this with the audience, okay? You're not going to preview it in the corner of the screen using the preview with the code. You're going to preview it full screen. I will get back to you whether the Apple folks have any thoughts on whether they want you to preview it in landscape or portrait. But I think it should be up to you lah. Okay, so I don't think I've seen this one, right? I don't think this was here on Thursday because it just uploaded 15 hours ago. Let's take a look. I guess, oh, okay. So I guess if you're going to record it, I guess try to record it sideways, record it preview, right? So this is a nice little drawing, 24 candy. Okay. I think there's I'm not sure if this is an issue, right? You see, every time this is tapped on, okay, so every time Juliet taps on this button gets highlighted, which is a very common issue that I see in some people's code. So let me just go take a look, right? And again, I'm not calling out anyone, but I just want to point this out so that you all don't make the same mistake, okay? You see over here, right? This button, okay, the label, before the label could end, there's another button inside it. So what she has inadvertently done, right? I'm pretty sure this is just an accident, and it's happened to a lot of students that I've seen, whose code I've seen, is because you didn't close this label curly brace, okay, you end up with a button inside a button. It still works almost perfectly fine, okay? For her, you can see, like when she tapped on it, right, the increase button still increased, and the eat all button still reset it. Okay, just that you've noticed the telltale sign is that the second button also lights up when you tap on the first button. That's how I know that she's accidentally created a button within a button. Okay, so not to worry, right? Don't worry. This is something that happens to a lot of students. Like if I do a actual in face-to-face class, I will see this all over the place. Okay, but just be aware, right? Be aware. It's quite hard to tell. It's really quite hard to tell where to close your label, close your curly braces and stuff. Okay, the telltale sign for me is that thing, right? When both of them light up. And over here, when I see the code, I can tell because the button should be on the same level as the button. Okay, if you draw a straight line down, you should see the second button on the same level and the curly brace before that. Okay, so not to worry, right? I think it's that's something that's interesting. Oh yeah, Jiashen mentions there's a stepper view, right? Stepper view. The reason why he mentioned a stepper view is because of Nicole's one, because this one has a plus and minus. There's actually a built-in control in SwiftUI where you can just put in plus and minus yourself. I think that's in lesson 5, next weekend's video. Okay, already recorded. So here we go. I just need to edit it. Okay, so thank you everyone who submitted. And if you haven't, please do. I do want to take a look. Okay, Ken. Anything else I should talk about? Anything else missed out? If not, I'll start this week's actual new stuff. Okay. Any questions? Right, please let us know in the chat. All right. Okay, so yeah, I think Abigail is here, right? I think you had some issue with sound. I'm not sure why that is. I have seen that issue with one student before. Like everything seemed perfectly fine for him. He typed it in, the sound worked on its own. Use the play function, doesn't work. Really not sure why. So if you can send me the code and the sound file, I try it out on mine. Yeah, it could just be some weird version thing. I'm not sure, 100% sure what it could be. All right, so some of these might not be able to help it lah. Okay. Okay, come. So let's get started with this week's one. And the way we're gonna do that is I'm going to create a new app over here. Okay, so new app. Today we are going to call our app Flag Raising because next week is National Day. So very good. Okay, so let's call it Flag Raising, assuming my keyboard works. Yes, my keyboard works. So you all haven't been here for the Thursday classes, right? Thursday classes are without fail, my keyboard fails. So all right, so Flag Raising version 2. Okay, so I'm going to tap on this and open it up. All right, let me switch this over to light mode to blind all of you. And also, I think it's in theory easier to see. Okay, so here we go. This is your standard Flag Raising. What we are going to do is we are going to make a counter app. Okay, a counter app with a state variable that isn't quite a counter app. Instead of having a number that increases, we use this number to change the position of something on the screen. Okay, I hope that kind of makes sense. All right, where you're going to use this number to change the position of things on the screen. So let's try this out. First things first, I am going to start by deleting away a bunch of code. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to delete away this image and this text. okay, I'm going to create a flagpole and a flag next to it. Okay, sounds a bit weird, but bear with me. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to have a long thin rectangle followed by a flag emoji to the side. Okay, so that's a H stack. Okay, I'm keeping the V stack, right? Keeping the V stack because I want to put a button underneath later. Okay, but for the flag and the flagpole, they're H stack, they're next to each other. Okay, so inside this H stack, I have a rectangle. I'm just going to say rectangle, boom, right? This gigantic black rectangle shows up, takes up all the space. You might recall this. If you want to change the size of something, you can do a frame. Okay, frame width of, let's say, 10. Okay, so what that does is it says, hey, excuse me, can you fit within a width of 10? They're like, okay, right? But I'm still going to be as tall as I can. All right, I don't care. All right, so that's good. I have a rectangle with a frame of width of 10. Next to it, I want the flag. How do I get a flag? I can go and download an image of a flag, or I can just use an emoji. So text, open bracket, open inverted comma. My inverted comma always got something wrong one, so I need to tap over here. And to get the emoji chooser, you probably know that if you have an iPad keyboard, you can press the globe button to get the emoji chooser. There's a keyboard shortcut. You can press Control Command Space, right, to get the emoji chooser. And I'm going to choose the Singapore flag. Happy National Day, everyone. And close inverted comma. Okay, so there you go. That's my flagpole. It looks very stupid right now. Okay, so I think my flag needs to be a bit bigger. So dot font dot system size 60, I think. 60 is a pretty nice size, or maybe 100 lah. Okay, nice big flag. Okay, now the flag is flying off to the side. Not quite good, not quite right. I'm going to shift these two things together. I'm going to compress these two things together by using an option in the H stack. This is a little bit like your functions. Okay, so I'm going to open up a bracket after the H stack, open bracket, close bracket, and I'm going to type in spacing, -10. Oh, there we go. It just smooshed them together. Okay. Before that though, sorry, I need to add something else. Alignment, dot bottom. Okay. This means that when you put two things side by side, there are a few ways to align them. You can align them to centers. You can, as in they're different heights. You can align them by the centers. You can align them by the bottoms. You can align them by the tops. Okay. So now I say, hey, please align by the bottom. Okay. So that's what I have done so far to get my flag on screen. Okay, so far so good. All right, you don't need to worry too much about copying everything I've done here. Okay, all this will be on the Padlet later. I will copy and paste it onto the Padlet later for you, right? You can just mix it and do some interesting stuff. Okay, but if you want, you can type it out, right? That's perfectly fine. I don't mind. Okay, so now I want a button underneath it to raise the flag. Okay, so button will be after my H tag. So notice this little line over here, this purple line from the H all the way down to the curly brace. All right. This thing over here is essentially saying that, hey, this is the end of my H tag. Okay, so you can use your finger and just tap over here. If your cursor is somewhere else, like up here, you don't know where the end of H tag is. Remember, you can always tap on the word H tag. Okay, tap on the word H tag. And actually, no, that doesn't help. You can always tap on the curly brace after the word H tag. Okay, to find out where the end of it is, because we are trying to add something after this H tag, and there are 4 curly braces, and it's very hard to figure out which curly brace it is. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add a button. Remember how buttons work? Buttons have 2 sets of curly braces. First set of curly brace is what to do. Second set of curly braces comes after the word label, and that's what it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to say text raise flag. Okay, so this is going to give you a colored piece of text over here. And I'm just going to style my button a little bit like I did in the most recent video. I'm just going to set it to have a foreground color of dot white. I'm going to set it to a background color of dot red because, National Day. And before I give it a background, I'm going to give it a padding. Okay, everyone's aware of this. I think I mentioned this way back in phase 2. If you give something a padding, if you give something a padding before a background, it's different from giving it a background before a padding. Just think about that. Okay, so if you give it a padding, it will have some space and then color in the space. Okay, and finally, I'm going to say dot corner radius of maybe 10 to give it nice rounded edges. And then after that, I'm just going to give it a padding again, just to give it some space. Okay, good. Now I have a button that can be used to raise the flag. So far, so good, right? This part, nothing new, I think. It's just some expanding on what we've done before. Okay, now let's introduce the new stuff from this week's lesson. I'm going to tap up here. We're going to introduce a state variable. A state variable, remember, always lives inside the content view declaration, but before the var body sum view. So here, it can be on line 4, can be on line 5, can be on line 6 if you add more enter keys, right? But shouldn't be up here, okay? Nor should it be inside here. Understand? Okay, so it should be, let's say over here. This is I like to leave a space before and after the state variable. So I'm just going to type add state var counter equals to 0.0. Okay, for this one, just bear with me. For this counter, I'm going to start counting from 0.0. Now, this is something kind of new-ish in Swift, which I don't think we talked about much in phase 2. 0.0 means that this is a different type of variable entirely. It's not an integer. It's not a whole number. Okay, all of you secondary and above, you all know what integers are. Okay, but integers are whole numbers, right? This one, when you say 0.0, you are telling Swift, hey, I want you to store this with decimal points. Okay, because computers, when they store things with decimal points, it's actually a little bit harder. There's a lot more stuff they need to store to have accurate decimal points, right? Just take my word for it. If you're interested, you can read up on this. Maybe I'll post a link. You can ask any questions and I'll post a link. Okay. The reason why is because we are going to use this counter to decide how to place our flag on the screen. And the screen actually comprises of decimal points. You can move something by 0.5 pixels. Okay, it's not actually 0.5 pixels. It will kind of do some interpolation to figure out where things actually belong. Okay, so just keep this in mind, 0.0. All right, next, this button will do the same thing as before. It will say counter equals counter plus 1. Right, it will just add 1 to the counter. No problem. Okay, this one very easy. So if still 0.0, when you press it one time, it'll become 1.0. In fact, I'll press it now. Press. Okay, now it's about 8.0. But as you know, when you increase this variable, you are actually not able to see it. It's currently stored somewhere in your iPad's memory. Okay, the best way to see it is to make it visible. And the way we made it visible the last time round was we just had a text that displayed it on the screen, right? So let's bring that back. Okay, so text, bracket, open inverted commas, slash, bracket, slash, open bracket, close bracket, counter, okay? So I put this in here first, okay? Just to remind me how many times I pressed it. Okay, so I'm just going to tap on this. Okay, I see that my thing has a little bit crashy. As you can see, I typed how many times pressed and it hasn't updated. So I'm a little bit worried, right? Okay, there you go. So I just change it a bit and hope it doesn't crash. If this ever happens to you, and Swift Playgrounds will probably crash on you at some point. Okay, the Apple people not here to give me dirty looks when I say that. Okay, no, they don't. They're very nice people. Okay, but Swift Playgrounds will crash on you. If it happens, just quit the app by pressing this X and then try reopening it. If it doesn't work, kill the entire app by double tapping on your home button over here and swipe it off the screen and then reload. Okay, but anyway, now you can see that, sure, no problem, right? 10.0000 times pressed. Later we'll delete this. Okay, I'm going to delete this this just for my own reference. Here's the fun part. I'm going to make the flag go up by tapping on the screen. Here's how. Here's a new modifier called offset. Okay, so this dot offset, I am going to say y colon -1 times counter. Okay, you might get some weird errors if you type very slowly like me. Okay, but now every time I tap on it, my flag is going to raise. Yay! Okay, as you can see, if I try and do it this way, I need to tap the thing literally like 200 or 300 times. Okay, so that's a bit silly. You can probably guess what I'm going to do next. I'm going to change this from -1 to -5. Okay, so this is 58 times, so now bring it to over here. If you ever want to reset this, if you ever want to reset it back down, okay, or you can make a reset button, you can just go here, change this variable to something else, okay, wait a moment, and then change it back. All right, that's a surefire way to reset the preview on the right-hand side. Okay, so let's test it out. Every time I press it, it will go up by a fairly meaningful amount. Okay, so what's going on? What is this offset? Offset is a modifier that some of you might have played with when you were doing the emoji artwork, correct? Now we are not only having a fixed offset, we're having the offset depend on the counter. We're having the offset depend on this particular value over here. Okay, And this value keeps changing. So when the value changes, the position of the flag will change. Okay. And offset, of course, is not just on the Y, right? You can also offset on X. So I could change this to X. Offset of X -5 times counter. In this case, it reset for me. Just going to show you what happens. Then my flag will move to the off screen, which is a bit ridiculous, but sure. Bye. Okay. So that's perfectly fine. You can do X and Y, right? And you know what? You can do X and Y in different directions. Okay, so try and guess which direction this goes up. If I start tapping, which way does it go? Top left, upwards, left, top right. Okay, figure that. Think of that before your head. Right, here you go. It goes to the bottom left. Okay, but it goes left faster than it goes down. Okay, so yeah, that's using your state variables for changing some stuff on the screen. Okay, which I find pretty fun, right? There's a nice way of doing some interesting things on your screen. Okay. One thing you might have noticed is that we started off by doing this Y -5 times counter, and you might be thinking, how come negative Y is going up the screen? Okay. So all of you, again, secondary school and above, this is why we prefer to do this for secondary school and above. The primary school kids, I think there's some maths here that would have been a bit troublesome for them. You all have done coordinate geometry, right? You know that X is a left-right axis, Y is a up-down axis. So in the case of Swift and SwiftUI, your 0, 0, your origin is actually in the top left-hand corner. Okay, this is 0, 0. All right. X, as always, increases from left to right. No problem. But Y increases from top to bottom. Okay. The reason for this is because when you're rendering things on the screen, you tend to start rendering from the top down. Okay, when putting things on the screen, you like your VStack, you put something, it's at the top. Then the next things are below that, below that, below that. So it kind of makes more sense mathematically in programming these types of user interfaces to start counting from the top down. This happens for a lot of different, I think other mobile platforms do it similarly as well, right? I'm not supposed to mention them. Okay, so that's the general idea. Okay, so that's offset, right? Using offset to move things around the screen. Now, you don't need to limit this to flags. You don't need to limit this to, moving a flag up the screen. You can have, race cars moving across the screen. You can do all kinds of weird things, right? I'll leave you to think about that. But we're not done. I want to show you a couple more things. All right. So let me just, oh wait, sorry. Okay, let me just move on to a few more modifiers. Okay, modifiers, and let's see what else we can do with them. Okay, so I am going to over here add another modifier for scale effect. Okay, scale effect is making something bigger than before. Okay, so I'm just gonna put scale effect counter. Let's see what happens. The first thing that happens is that you get this weird error, singular matrix. Okay, again, maths, lots and lots of maths, but don't worry, it's all kind of hidden for you. The other thing that you notice is that, hey, my flag has disappeared. Okay, scale effect is saying, hey, make this thing however many percent, however much the size of the original. So this is now 0% the size. Okay, if I tap my raise flag one time, I will get it back at 1 times the original size, or 100%. If I tap it again, can you guess what happens? Right, imagine your head before I tap it up. What's scale effect of 2? And I'm going to tap it. Blah, it's now 200%. Okay, scale effect of 3, 300%, 400%, 500%. Wow, very big, modular Singapore. Okay, so that's maybe that doesn't look so good. Maybe you want something that starts off at 100% and then increases by maybe 10% each time. Then you can do counter time. Okay, I know about. How about this? 1 plus counter times 0.1. Okay, this is like algebra. Okay, 1 plus 0.1x. So when x is 1 is 1.1, when x is 2 is 1.2, when x is 3 is 1.3. Okay, so now it'll just keep increasing by 10% every time you tap on it. Still a bit ridiculous, but not bad. Okay, quite interesting. Okay, so that's one way to think about it. By the way, this scale effect doesn't need to be on the flag itself. You can put it on the entire, you can have it on the entire H stack. So I'm going to put this thing, Command X to cut, put it down here, and I can keep on increasing the size of my H stack as I Keep tapping. Wow, very dramatic. Okay, all right. I desperately need a reset function for this, but never mind. Okay, so that's scale effect. All right, let me go and reset this a little bit by setting this to a different number, waiting about half a second and setting it back. Okay, so what else can I show you with other weird effects? How about rotation effect? Okay, rotation effect. So I'm going to say dot rotation effect. You've seen rotation 3D effect. Okay, that was how you flip something around. Rotation effect just means rotate about the z-axis, which means flip like that. Okay, the angle, you're going to say dot degrees, bracket, and inside here, you're just going to say rotate by how many degrees. So I'm just going to put counter times 10 perhaps. Okay, counter times 10. I'm going to decrease my font size a bit so you can see a bit better. Okay, this one says, please rotate by the whatever the value of counter is times 10. So initially is 0 degrees rotated. Next thing is going to be 10 degrees rotated, I believe is clockwise. Okay, so let's try. Right, so, wow. Okay, this one quite disrespectful. I think we shouldn't make our flag fall off. Okay, so I'm going to change this to another flag. Hang on now. So, where are. What other flags can I choose? Like, not actual country. Okay. I'll just use this red color flag. Okay, good. Okay, so, let's start again. Right, so what we've been trying to do is we have been trying to rotate our thing so that it will actually look different, right? So every time you tap on it, it rotates by 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, then it looks like it's falling off, okay? You want to rotate anti-clockwise? Can. Negative 10. Okay, negative 10. So you just rotate the other way. Bye-bye. Okay, so that's another thing you can do with your state variables. One last thing is perhaps opacity. Okay, so opacity. I'm going to attach this modifier to the H tag instead. I'm going to say dot opacity bracket counter. Opacity is something that says either 0 is fully transparent or 1 is fully opaque. Okay, so initially it's 0. I tap one time, it becomes 1. It's fully opaque. I tap again, opacity of 2 has no meaning. It's more than 100% opaque. You can't be more than 100% opaque. Okay, all of us are 100% opaque. Okay, so this one maybe again you might want to do times 0.1 or something like that, right? So as you tap, it will start becoming more and more opaque. Or you want to go the other way around? Can, right? This is again some maths. 1 minus counter times 0.1. Okay, so you start off with 100% opacity, then you'll become 90%, then 80%, and so on and so forth. Let's see, right? Doing, that is gone. Okay. All right, so I've introduced a whole bunch of stuff for you. Okay, so offset, rotation effect, scale effect, and opacity. Okay, so this is all hopefully some interesting stuff for you to play with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out some of these things, okay, because I want to go back to just raising the flag as per normal. Commenting out, you can use this keyboard shortcut, hold down Command and press the slash / key. / is next to Shift on most keyboards, most Mac keyboards. You can also just type in / in front of the thing, okay? So what that does is it comments it out, okay? Commenting out means that the code is there, but you don't feel like deleting it just yet. You just think, yeah, very sad lah. I spent so much time typing this out. Why I want to delete? I just leave it there first lah. Maybe I want it later. Okay, so you just comment it out rather than deleting the entire thing. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to have a message that says, congratulations, right, when you reach the top. Okay, so this is something that's actually covered in this week's class, but I just wanted to take a moment to show you, right, a quick preview. So, first of all, I'm going to tap enough times to know how much I need my counter to be when it reaches the top. So let's see how many. I think it's about like 70 something, like 78 or 80. Okay, wait. My finger very tired. Hang on. Oh, 80 something. Okay, so let's say 90. Oh, okay, just nice. Okay, so 90 is when it reaches the top. Okay, here's what I want to do. I'm going to have a message that pops up. Instead of this text, I'm going to have a message that says, okay, let's do it below the text. If counter is greater than or equals to 90, I'm going to say text. Congrats, you made it. You finished raising the flag. Okay, can be student counselor already. All right. So, okay, so right now nothing happens. Okay, nothing happens because my counter has reset to 0 and it is not 90. Now I will show you what happens when I tap it all the way to 90. Tap. Hiya, why I 290? Okay, maybe I should have changed this thing from -5 to like -20 or something to save myself some time. But never mind. Okay, I am a very patient person. Okay, so after here, okay, 88, 89. Okay, look carefully. I'm at 89. I tap on the raise flag one more time. Point. Okay, what happens is this entire new text shows up. Okay, this is an if statement. You've seen if statements before. You've seen if statements before back in your get started with code. Okay, this is called conditional rendering. It's a very cheap way of saying, if this condition is met, please put this thing on the screen. Okay, so keep this in mind. I think that can open up some interesting possibilities for you. So it could be such that, you tap, 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 tap for a while, and then something new shows up on screen and that starts moving or stuff like that. Okay, so we've reached pretty much the time for today's lesson. Let me just do a quick summary of what we're doing. There's no quiz today because there's just not much time. Right? Sorry if you're looking forward to a quizzes for whatever reason. These are what we covered today. We covered using state variables for more than just counting. We did conditional rendering using if statements to build your user interface depending on the value of the state variable. Okay, so you notice that just now we looked at the state variable, we saw what it was, then we decided what to do. Okay, and some modifiers to change how your views look. All right, so we did offset, scale effect, rotation effect, and opacity. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is to head over to this palette over here, include a screenshot of your emoji artwork. Maybe not emoji artwork. Okay, or not emoji artwork, but whatever thing you come up with. Okay, whatever thing you come up with. So I just want to emphasize this part, right? You don't have to do a flag raising app. Okay, you could even do a story. We've seen people do stories where someone moves onto the screen. Okay, and then after the counter reaches a certain number, like this thing pops up, like a speech bubble pops up. Then after that, certain other person moves on the screen. There's a lot of maths involved in this. I have to warn you first. Okay, if you don't like maths, you do something simpler also can. Okay, we've seen things like race cars, like, two buttons. Yeah, by the way, you don't need one button. You can have two buttons, you can have two state variables. Okay, you can have two buttons and 5 state variables. You can have 5 state variables and 2 buttons. You think about how that might work. Okay, so you might be able to make like a 2-button race car, 2 people tap 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 tap, and then see how fast they can make something move up the screen. Okay, so I'd like you to think of how you do this, and when you're done, send it over to this palette over here, padlet.tk.sg/SwiftExplorers3a. Let me click on it to make sure that that my link actually works, because sometimes I forget to set up this link. Okay, it does work, right? My demo from Thursday is here. Farhan is already done. All right, congratulations. Wow, some people got why got people NCC one? Okay, never mind. Okay, please take a look at the stuff over there. I'll review all this next week. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what y'all have to come up with. Okay, any questions at this point? Okay, if you don't have questions, that's fine. We are calling it a day. If you do, you can stay back. We'll hang out for a few more minutes to answer any questions. When you ask questions on Discord, please submit your Swift code. Okay, so keep an eye on the Discord for announcements. The next lesson is already up in the playlist, but I will formally announce it sometime later today. Okay, thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you next week. Have a great National Day week ahead. Bye.